This 4th of July might not be as safe as you think. Repost and share this one. Here's your warning straight from the federal agencies themselves. The FBI and Homeland Security have just dropped a bulletin warning of possible lone wolf terrorist attacks in New York City and San Francisco. We're talking possible copycat assaults inspired by the brutal New Year's Day ramming in New Orleans, where civilians were mowed down in broad daylight. Officials say the biggest threat this year comes not from abroad, but from inside, homegrown radicals ideologically motivated, ready to strike when the crowds are the biggest and eyes are the least focused. Homeland Security's advisor said it clearly. Lone wolf attacks are the biggest threat to July 4th events this year. Why New York and San Francisco? High density, big symbolism, soft targets perfect for maximum chaos. And don't forget, terrorist groups are still pushing online propaganda calling for attacks on America. The fuse is already lit. They're just looking for someone unstable enough to light the match. Why New York and San Francisco? High density, big symbolism, soft targets perfect for maximum chaos. And don't forget, terrorist groups are still pushing online propaganda calling for attacks on America. The fuse is there. They're just looking for someone unstable enough to light the match. You don't need to be paranoid, but you do need to be prepared. Keep your head on a swivel, have an exit plan, and stay away from packed soft targets if you don't have to be there. The 4th of July won't just be about barbecues and fireworks this year. It might be about your survival. Let me know.
Shalom. I want to give all praises, glory, honor, and power that's due to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shah, Bahashim Kakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone, those who rule well and who I learned this truth from. Salutation to the brother stiffly pushing this one truth. All right, in all sincerity and diligence to do so. And shalom to the rest of the elect as we all await the second Exodus coming quickly by the hands of Lord Yahweh Shah. This is your brother Kagabar. All right, and how ironic, on the 4th of July, this weekend, all right, this 4th of July weekend, all right, where, a lot of these people are about to be in a spirit of mirth, due to their quote unquote independence. You have a nationwide protest, all right, going on, as well as threats of possible lone wolf T attacks. All right, you have a nationwide protest, all right. It's called Free America. July 4th, the federal holiday in the U.S., set to see huge protests in many cities, which is pretty much the No Kings 2.0 deal happening all over again this weekend, as well as the FBI warning, of possible lone wolf T attacks. Now, we got to wait and see if something happens because, the warnings have been going out. All right, but really this just shows you that we're in a time to where the Lord is taking away the mirth out of America, Babylon the Great, because times are getting too dire. Things are getting serious now, man. To the point to where things are getting serious. All right. And, they're constantly warning that shit's about to pop off. OK, and they do these warnings because they already know that there's all these sleeper cells in these major cities. They already know that. They already released that information, man. So they know that. And it's so all that means is that it's really just a matter of time before they start activating. And I've already heard, several things on the news, of shit, pretty much going down. But, when they do a massive coordinated attack, like a 9/11 style, all right, whether it be the small hats, doing it on the inside or whatever, that's when this shit's going to get real, man. Okay, but this just shows you that the mirth of the land is pretty much gone out of this place because here you are supposed to be celebrating your quote unquote independence which really we know you stole this land from the Northern Kingdom. All right, the tribes, you stole this land, okay, through rape, rob, murder, and pillage. But the Lord is showing you that he's bringing an end to your mirth because at the same time they're warning of T attacks. You Americans are fed up with your administration. So you got this one little day, 3-day weekend, all right, which, hey, live it up if you can. All right, for you people out there, man, because this is really it, man. The Lord is definitely taking away that spirit of mirth from this place. All right, but here you are, okay, set to have these protests because you're fed up with your administration and ultimately the totalitarianism that is coming and that he's bringing to pass, man. Okay, I'm gonna read the synopsis. It says another round of massive protests are set to take place in the U.S. on July 4th, which is a federal holiday in America. The protests are being organized against Trump and his policies he has implemented in his second term. Free America Weekend is being organized by Women's March. After the success of No King's which I don't know how they call it successful, but whatever. It says, after the success of No King's protests organized on June 14th against Trump, nationwide boycott of all July 4th events is the latest in a series of actions by grassroots advocacy group against the U.S. president. The group says there is no real independence to celebrate under the current Trump administration. Okay? And these people, all right, are to the point to where they're fed up, but they're still not really, they're still not really taken to the streets like that, man. Yeah, they got protests throughout the nation, but, when their food gets touched, all right, when the Lord touches their food and the bread and circus, which goes into their mirth, that's really when this shit's gonna go down, man. That's really when these people are gonna fucking lose it. Cause they like I said, they can sedate themselves, man, go to the liquor store and try to have a good time to forget about the bullshit they living through. But when the Lord begins to touch those things, all right, you know what I'm saying? You people gonna just be met with the fucking reality, man. And then you people realize it now, all right, but really you can still try to enjoy the bread and circus while it lasts. But we know the Lord, all right, is he's taking that away. Okay, the Lord is taking that away, man. Okay, this is Isaiah 24. Matter of fact, yeah, we'll grab this. We'll grab it. This is Isaiah 24, and let's start up a bit. It says Isaiah 24 and 5. It says, the earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof. Yeah, man, Esau, he's defiled the earth. This dude is a demon, man. He's backwards. Everything he put into legislation, men can be a woman be a man, feminism, soy boys, soy food, and, GMOs. This dude has destroyed the earth, man. It says, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance and broken the everlasting covenant. It says, therefore hath the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned and few men left, because the curse devoured the earth, man. Which when you read Isaiah 34, all right, the people of the Lord's curse is Idumea, you Edomites, man. You've devoured the earth and you've turned everything upside down, man. All right, you've turned everything upside down. So this is why, World War III is imminent. Okay, this is why the earth is going to be burned, scorched. All right, particular parts are going to be completely consumed, like America. But this is why World War III is going to happen, man. It says, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore, the inhabitants of the earth are burned and few men left. Yeah, because you people are consumed by this vibration, man. When you go into Sirach 10, it tells you as the leader of the people saw as officers and the people of the city, roughly paraphrasing, man. Meaning, the leaders of this place are backwards as all hell. And you got these backwards ass, super pro-Trump supporters and that follow him. And then you had the people that was all for Obama and the democracy and the fucking, the that agenda. Okay. And you people are all confused, man. And through. Okay. But this is why the Lord is going to bring an end to this shit, man. It says, the new wine mourneth, the vine languisheth, all the merry-hearted do sigh. Okay. The mirth of tabrets ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoice endeth, the joy of the harp ceaseth. And, we're seeing this pretty much going to fruition, man, because as the years have progressed, the last few years, especially, since the pandemic, these holidays and all this shit ain't been hitting the same for these people, man. You see it. You see it on their face, man. It's a simple fact alone. They can't really afford to turn up. And that's a part of the reason why they got these protests against Trump anyways, man. Because this dude will put tariffs on another country knowing it's going to directly affect you and not give a fuck about it, man. See? So, yeah. All right. Hey, it says, the mirth of tabret ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoice endeth, the joy of the harp ceaseth. Also, because now you go to these festivals and shit, you fucking around and get caught up in some shit. Okay, that's what just happened in France. A massive festival where 140 some odd people were stabbed with syringes that they found in those women. Okay, because women were the target to have date grape drugs in it. you know, and mass shootings and things are happening all over. So, and then they got the warning of these theists. So, yeah, man, it's this joy, man. The mirth is about to die out of this place, man, because it's going to be a time of what? A time of war and not of peace. It says, verse 9, they shall not drink wine with a song. Strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. Yeah. The city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up that no man may come in. Okay. It's going to be bad again, man. It's going to be bad. You know, like 5 years ago, you know, had this shit pretty much shut down on quarantine and social distancing and due to the diseases and shit. But, you know, the diseases are coming back too. You know, they talking about that shit in the news a lot heavier. Okay. They're pretty much resurfacing those talks, as well as the fact that when this place goes, you know, to war and you have martial law due to the chaos and anarchy on the homeland, the other houses are going to be shut up. It's going to be like the purge when that damn alarm go off and everybody start boarding they shit up. All right. Because it's going to be bad. All right. But that's what I wanted to grab from there. It says, "And the city is left desolation and the gate is smitten with destruction." But the point being at this mirth, man, and it's ironic because this is your quote unquote Independence Day, and yet you people are, you know, looking to protest and you know, have warnings from your 3-letter agencies to be just to be on alert of you know, T threats. Okay, T attacks. You know, which, like I said, we got to see how it plans out. They stay with these warnings, but we in the truth know that this deal, that we've reached those times, man. Okay, because the warnings just got more and more frequent, and things around the earth have lined up to where, you know, you can't be surprised if shit really starts popping off over here in America because of the tensions, you know, over there in the so-called Middle East that this place has been pulled into. Okay, so yeah, man. But hey, that's really it. You know, we're not ignorant of how this devil get down. All right, and you know, we watch the times, but hey, this the Lord is fed up with America. He's fed up with your mirth and your idolatry, man. And before long, the Lord's just about to let this shit, he's about to let it go. All right. And that's why we warn our people. Okay. Because you ain't got too much longer to keep fucking off. You're going to have a lot of niggas celebrating the July 4th, not knowing what the hell they celebrating, man. Whole time you still a nigga, you ain't free. You know what I'm saying? You but hey, you can't tell Jake shit, man. All right. But that's really the point. I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shabbat Shurin Kakadash, DTA Wababa Ball, Shalom.